Hello, my name is Sarah. Welcome to the It is a Sarah podcast. Today it is Monday, March 30, 2026, and in this episode I want to share my handwerk perikelen, which is a Dutch word for my creative adventures from this week with you. I'm coming to you from the Netherlands, so excuse my Dutchy English. I love to knit, I love to crochet, and I love to talk, so that's the perfect combination for making this podcast. I make my episodes in Dutch and in English. You can watch both with subtitles. I have a very interesting Dutch one as well this week, according to me, but I will share more about that later in this episode. Okay, let's start with what I'm wearing. Nothing new. One of my favorite cardigans. It's my Coffeebean Corran cardigan. I used the numbers of the Corran cardigan, a pattern by Clow, and I replaced the I replaced the lace stitch for the Coffeebean, which is a very nice and easy small cable. And I knit it in Let Lopi. I love wearing it. I love the V-shaped neckline and yeah, everything's nice. I share it with my daughter, my youngest one. She is asking me all the time, can I borrow your koffiebeentjes vest? Because koffiebeentjes vest is how we say it in Dutch. And I really love sharing my clothes. I am not a good sharer quite often. I don't love sharing my food, but sharing my hand knit items with my girls, that's a HeartJumping thing. Okay, I have a finished object today. I have several actually, but I only have one with me. And the other two I filmed a little bit earlier this weekend. So a lot to show. And I also have some exciting new sock yarn, which I can add to my stash. Although I will not add it to my stash, I will immediately cast it on, I hope tomorrow, maybe tonight. But let's start with my finished object because I'm really happy. This is my new shawl, my traveler shawl. I talked about it before on the podcast. It is a pattern by Andrea Maury, and it was quite long on my needles. I didn't check my cast on date, but I think it is almost 1 year ago, in May 2025, and pretty soon I discovered this is not a yarn I love to knit with in summer when temperatures are a little bit higher. It's quite rustic yarn. I will tell more about that in a minute. So it hibernated in summer. Is that possible? Hibernating, I think it means it's taking a winter sleep, but maybe I'm wrong. It was hibernating in summer and I picked it up, and I struggled with this pattern. It's actually quite easy, but somehow I didn't get the rhythm. And I need to mark every row because I was confused all the time. I didn't get the way of increasing. I was reading it wrong, and a shawl is very nice when you can pick up and knit, but because of my need of keeping track of all the rows, it was not a quick in-between knit. I need to sit down with it and pay attention to the pattern, to my work. So it was growing, yeah, actually quite slowly. And I wasn't enjoy it as much as I hoped I would, as much as I need when I knit a shawl. On a fingering weight yarn. But when a Dutch viewer of my podcast commented about a certain rhythm in the pattern, it clicked, and suddenly I did understand what I was doing. And it's because you are changing wrong side and right side, and you are changing knits and purls, but not in the same rhythm. So it's not when you are knitting garter stitch, knit stitch rows and purl stitch rows in an even rhythm, it would match the wrong side and right side. But it's an uneven rhythm. So sometimes you need to knit at the right side, and sometimes you need to purl at the right side. It's a 3-2 rhythm. So you have those garter stitch of 2 rows and then 3. No, I I won't try to explain it because maybe I confuse you. So it was not the pattern, I think. I'm not the only one struggling, but it was me. And when it clicked, I was actually at the second triangle with the same rhythm, and I didn't need to keep track of my notes. I could mark my rows with a stitch marker, and I could count the stitches in my I-chord, the beginning I-chord, and yeah, it was flying off my needles. Of course, this part you are increasing. You start with an I-chord. How did I knit it? Oh, I think you only start with a few stitches. You start here. And you are increasing the double amount of stitches on one side and just the single amount of stitches on the other side. And you increase, so that's why it's not an even triangle. And then when you have a certain amount of stitches, you bind off with an I-chord. And then you pick up stitches in the smallest I-chord, the spine. It's very well explained in the pattern. The pattern is very well explained. I love Andrea Maury's patterns. And then you start knitting this way, back and forth, and you are decreasing. And decreasing is of course more easy because you know you need to stop when you have 7 stitches left. So yeah, counting is still important for the rhythm, but not for the amount of stitches. So yeah, I was enjoying it very, very much at the end of the knitting project. And I am enjoying it now as well. I love the colors. I knitted with this yarn. It is actually a sport weight, a shawl for a sport weight yarn, and you have 2 sizes, a smaller and a bigger one, and I wanted to knit with this one. And I really love the fingering weight shawls because you have a lot of fabric which is lightweighted. I love that for shawls. So I thought when I knit with a light fingering weight yarn, but I picked the biggest size, I think it will match. This is the yarn I knitted with, Dundaga yarn. It's the Latvian yarn. I talked about it more in the episodes. I love it. I bought 2 skeins. They are not exactly the same. This one is 208 grams, 873 meters, very affordable, €12.48. That's very affordable actually. And yeah, K4. It doesn't have an official label, but I think this is the colorway. I had another skein of this one, and this is what I have left. I knitted on 3mm needles. It is my fixed one. I have my interchangeables, but this is my fixed one. And that was working perfectly fine. I love the change of colors. My husband said, "Oh, that's nice, the brown and the blue." And I said, "Blue? It's definitely grey." But he said, "No, that's blue." And I can't understand why he thinks it's blue, because it's so obvious grey to me. But maybe you are seeing blue as well. Yeah, I'm not seeing any blue. Maybe it's the light, but it's very grey. And I was a little bit annoyed because I love this colorway, and it is okay, but I was not annoyed, but I was actually surprised. How can we not see the same thing? It was so weird actually. And of course that's very human. You are watching to the same thing or situation and both seeing something different. That's how it works. But it was very frustrating. No, it was not frustrating. It was very weird actually. Yeah, but it was also a good experience because it is how it works. It is what it is. So I think it's very grey with black and brown, and I love the color changing. Of course, because the amount of stitches changed, the way the color stripes also changed. You start with some bigger segments, and then the rows are getting longer and longer, and the stripes are getting smaller and smaller. And this part is striping in a very different way because less stitches. And yeah, in the beginning I thought, do I like this? I love the way this part is striping, but when you are wearing it, it is not obvious at all. It was very nice to do it in a color changing yarn. I think I would definitely be so bored when I would have knitted it in a single color. It would be a boring knit, a beautiful boring knit, but yeah, endless, I guess. So this is actually my first, how do you call this shape? There's a name for it. I don't know it, but it's not a triangle shawl, but it is a triangle shawl, but a different, not an even triangle. There's a name for it, but I don't know it. And this was my first shawl in this shape, and I really love it. I love wearing it because I was changing my yarn weight. I was doubting about the size, and when I started blocking the shawl, Andrea added a picture, a drawing with the shawl and the measurements. So you can block it if you want to the specific measurements, but you can also choose your own measurements. She also suggested, but it was very helpful, and it was interesting because one part of the shawl was definitely the bigger size and one part of the shawl was definitely the smaller size. So my shawl is really in between sizes. I think the longer part was the smaller size. There is not a limitless stretch on this I-cord bind off, but this one, oh, this is the longer one, this part, but this part was, had the measurements of the bigger shawl. So bigger shawl plus smaller shawl creates the perfect size for Sarah. I really love the lightweight warm woolly layer. It is rustic yarn and it does itch a little bit. The Dundaga yarn also has quite some spin oil in it. I washed it on the wool wash program in my washing machine on 40 degrees. I learned that from a very experienced Dutch wool expert, Marja from the Dutch yarn shop Schaapjeswol. And it worked pretty good. I think I talked to someone else at the knitting event in February. She was also wearing a Dundaga shawl, and I remember she was telling it softens more and more after wearing. So I can imagine that will happen. But still, it does itch a little bit to this sensitive part of my skin. I think it is quite sensitive for everyone, and especially because the temperature, it's not very cold anymore in the Netherlands. Today we have a rainy day, but it's around 10 degrees, I guess, and when I get warm, I feel the itch, and that's with all the rustic yarn. So I can wear it for a few weeks, chilly mornings, chilly evenings, I think, and then I will store it for autumn, because then I prefer my merino shawl, which I don't have the itchy problem with. But it's a perfect shawl, yarn for a winter shawl for me. I love the colors. It's not very exciting, but it's very much in my comfort zone. And yeah, I love the way it ties up. I wear it like this, and I didn't experiment it with other ways of tying it around my neck or wrapping it around my upper body further, but I don't know if there are more options, but I'm very happy with this part. So, HeartJumping project. It does weigh 160 gram, my shawl, in a fingering weight yarn. So I don't know if you want to make the switch to a fingering weight yarn as well. 200 grams skeins and you will be okay. Yeah, that's actually always my what I need for shawls. 200 grams and I will be okay. That's always nice to know. I want a list in my head for a sweater quantity, a shawl quantity. What do you need more? Yeah, those are the only things. A cardigan quantity, the only things where I need more than one skein for, I think. So yeah, that's good to know when you do some impulsive yarn shopping. Okay, I can put it off now. I don't need to wear it inside now. I always get a little bit excited when I'm filming an episode and my temperature is rising through all the talking. I have two other finished objects. Both are for my little niece who was celebrating her birthday, so I already gifted them to her, but I managed, it was quite some hard working to finish the projects before her birthday party and also film it and take pictures, but I managed to do it all, so I will take you back to a few days earlier so I can show you my crochet dinosaur. She is so long, I don't know if it is she or he, but it was such a hard jumping project, and I made also a very cute little skirt. So I will be back to you with you in a minute. Ta-da! We have a finished African flower dinosaur. I am very happy. I'm very happy it's finished. I'm also very happy with the end result. And I will tell you a little bit about the finishing process. I already told a lot about the yarn last week in last week's episode. Let me start at the beginning. This dinosaur is a birthday present for my little niece. She turns 5 very soon. And I wanted to give her a stuffy. I wanted to make her an African flower stuffy for a longer time. I want to make an African flower stuffy, a Heidi Bears pattern, for more than 10 years now. It never happened. My own kids are too big, although too old. I don't know if you can be old enough for such a thing. But this year it was the year, and the reason I chose the Plod, the African flower Triceratops, I think that's the official name of the pattern, was because she has a Triceratops and she really loves it. So I thought that's funny. Yeah, and I also, yeah, I never thought I would crochet a dinosaur in my life. It was not on my bucket list, but I had a lot of fun. There was also frustration and I got a little bit, not bored. I was working with a deadline, so I couldn't put it away. I was working very concentrated and I felt it in my shoulders. There was some pain and I thought, okay, relax. When I'm doing some quiet crochet, I quite often pull up my shoulders and that's not good, but we survived. There's no damage, but it was really nearly the only thing I worked on this week. In last week's episode, I told a little bit more about the yarn. I'm sorry. I crocheted the African flowers with super soft yarn, and that's the perfect, I have a lash, which is not okay. Let me check in the... I was on my bike earlier today and something flew into my eye. It was not a living thing, I think just a little bit of dust or sand, and since then my eye was tearing. And yeah, the yarn I crocheted with the pattern suggests fingering weight sock yarn, a woolly yarn. Because of the bounce of wool, it's very helpful when you will create a finishing stuffy. I think it was. I don't know if a plant fiber will work less, but yeah, this one was really working good. So I crochet with the super soft yarn, which is a light fingering lace weight yarn, and I blocked all the African flowers before I joined them together as I go. There are two options. The pattern is really well written, it's really clear, it's really detailed. It felt a little bit overwhelming in the beginning, but when you just begin and follow the steps, it's really, it takes you by the hand. Is that Dutch? That's a Dutch way of saying, I think. Heidi takes your hand and leads you through all the steps in the process, from the beginning, the crocheting your first African flower, to finishing your stuffy. So that was really helpful. I decided to crochet the African flowers, and I chose the join as I go way. You can also sew them together, but when I can avoid sewing, I do. And I blocked the African flowers because the super soft yarn has spin oil in it. The last round, the pink, the baby pink, was another yarn. Oh, I'm sorry again. I have a tripod, I think you call it like that, and yeah, I'm afraid it won't be the last time I hit it. This is Loopy Einband. It's also a fingering weight, lace weight yarn, very rustic. I love crocheting with this one. Yeah, it's just a lovely one. I have color 9128. Lovely color. I needed to break in my second 50-gram ball, but that was because I made a mistake, I guess. I will tell you more about that later. So 50 gram was nearly enough. You don't need much. I didn't weigh the rest. I didn't do any color coordination. My niece, she loves unicorns and all those colors, so I picked a lot of blue and purples from my basket. I won't really use myself, not so much. When I joined them together as I go step by step, I just picked a color which I thought, okay, this is looking nice with the other one, which surrounds this African flower. But in the end, there are some, for example, this one, two blues together. It's not the same shade of blue, but it's very look-alike. And also here I have two pinks. Yeah, when you look at it for a long time with your inner perfectionist, you will notice every color which could have been better. But if you don't invite Miss Perfect, nothing's wrong. So joining them together as I go with crocheting the last round, it was actually working out very nice, because yeah, it was a lot of counting, and because it's all tiny, and I was crocheting with crochet hook 1.5 millimeter, very small, very tiny. It got black. I don't know why, because my hands were not black, but yeah, it worked out pretty good. So it was a little bit of a puzzle. I don't really like puzzling. In the beginning I thought I want such a thing myself, not specifically a dinosaur, but with brown, I have some brown Loopy Einband left. I want to make one myself because it looks adorable, and a few days later I don't feel that desire anymore. I thought I can also make an African flower pillowcase. It will be way more easy than a stuffy. But it is a heart jumping thing. I really love it, especially when I start stuffing it. I stuffed it with synthetic fiber fill, do you call it like that? I prefer stuffing it with wool, but it surprised me how much I needed to stuff it properly, to give it the good shape and the good feeling, not too stiff, but yeah, really the belly is so sweet. It has a belly, and oh, I love it. And I only had dark brown wool, so in the beginning I thought I can combine it, but because you are crocheting with double crochets, or in UK I think treble crochets, yeah, it is, you see the stuff you stuff with, it shines through a little bit, and I love it when that would be brown, but brown and white, it was just a little bit messy. So I decided to pick the fiber fill from my daughter. She prefers the synthetic fiber, and I used all of it. So I need to buy her a new one. I don't like shopping, so, but I need to go to the shop for her. So yeah, I think I stuffed it well. It was quite hard to stuff the legs and to, yeah, to find the right balance between, yeah, steady and, yeah, not too much. But I think I did a good job. You have this, oh, I don't know how this is called. I don't have the pattern, I only have it online. This thing which make a Triceratops, I guess. I regret afterwards I didn't block it. I only noticed it when I already was sewing it at the head. And I tried to block it a little bit. When I went to bed yesterday evening, I put the dinosaur plot on a blocking mat and I pinned down those little hexagons, and I apologized. I'm sorry, because I felt so bad about leaving the stuffy laying on her back with her legs in the air. It felt really bad, but yeah, it improved the shape a little bit more, but I don't think I will ever make it again, but if I would make it again, I would block this before I would sew it at the head. There was no chance. I was considering ripping out the sewing stitches and doing it again. So yeah, it is okay how it is. The eyes, I didn't have eyes you could sew on, but I dived into my daughter's stash, and I managed to place the eyes pretty correct. That's the thing where it always goes wrong when I make a stuffy. The eyes are always weird, but yeah, because you are making hexagons, it's quite markable where you need to place them, and it's not completely straight, but I didn't mess up, I think. And then yesterday evening it was time for the finishing touch, and I totally underestimated the horns. I thought, oh, I will do that in a minute, just before I went to bed, and I will be finished. Oh, it was a big challenge to get the right horns, and I managed to do it, but I didn't follow the pattern. Because when I followed the pattern, the horns, they were so tiny. They looked so tiny. It was just the yarn, single strand of yarn, the 1.5mm needle, and the horns were looking so sad. And I thought, you're a Triceratops because of the horns and this thing. But yeah, it looks so sad. So I decided to go to bed. This morning I woke up and I thought, okay, I can hold the yarn double, maybe that will work out. So I did do that on a 2mm needle, so it's quite a tight gauge, but they are big enough right now. And yeah, I think these details, finishing the eyes and sewing the things at the right place, that is the point where it always goes wrong when I make a stuffy. But I think I managed to do it pretty well. I am happy with it. So yeah, it's really lovely. I love it. It is absolutely a lovely, adorable dinosaur. Yeah, so it would have been a little bit more relaxed if I started earlier, but that's not who I am. I need time pressure, I need a deadline. I can be very productive, and when the deadline is not pretty close, I don't feel the pressure and I don't do things I should do. I do other things then. I do a lot. I always do a lot. I'm never lazy, but not the things I should do. Yeah, that's how I work. So I don't expect it from myself. I know I will be finished in time always. So yeah. Plod, the pink dinosaur, is a finished object, and I really feel the need for an African flower item in my life right now, but not a stuffy. I think a pillowcase would be lovely. Yeah. She is adorable. I think she's a C. Doesn't matter. It's not important, but I think my niece, I can ask her. Yeah. Okay. I made another birthday present today, which I also want to show. Can you see Plod? It's well nice if you can. So I need to make some pictures. The other birthday present is a sewn one, and I'm very, very happy with the outcome. This is a little tiny skirt, also for my niece, and I don't know if you can see the fabric. Horses. Horses with brown flowers and pink hair. I think that's the perfect combination between my niece's preferences and my preferences. I don't love horses. I think the animals are beautiful. I think they are so big and impressive to me. My niece is in her unicorn phase. I was visiting a fabric event with my mom a few weeks ago, and the same as a knitting event, it's overwhelming, fabric everywhere, and I couldn't really think and decide and couldn't really find something for myself. I didn't need anything, it was just around the corner and it was nice to take a look. But at some point we start looking to fabrics for my niece and her granddaughter, and we found this one. There are a lot of children's fabric, but I don't know. They are lovely, but not heart jumping. I think this was absolutely heart jumping. I immediately fell in love with it. I used to sew skirts for my little girls as well when they were the same age. And I was really happy to see my sewing skills improved in all those years. And yeah, I made this in a few hours. So, and nothing went wrong. The only thing is the lining up of the horses was a little bit complicated, but with the, how do you call it, with the gathering, yeah, it's no chance I would do that in a proper way. That's also not who I am. So I am very happy with the outcome. I used a free pattern. It's very easy and very simple. It's from a Belgian sewing designer, Belle Etoile, and Etoile. My French is very bad, very weak. And it's called the Star Skirt. I will link it down below. It's a free download and there are instructions, I'm pretty sure also in English. But it's just actually this. These two parts. That's all. And then you can make a lovely skirt. You can add pockets and you can also make a longer one. But I prefer this look. And it was so easy and so quick. I really felt the need to make more. But I have no idea how the size will be. I didn't measure. I know her size of clothes. I checked with my sister, but I didn't measure her own size, and that's actually not what the pattern suggests you do that before you start sewing. I didn't do that. So yeah, it will fit. The only thing is the elastic. It looks a little bit wide to me. I chose a smaller size, 116, for the width of the skirt and one size bigger for the length, so it's a little bit longer. And for the elastic, at the back you leave an opening. I don't know if you can see it. You leave an opening right here so you can put the elastic in, and I did sew it in a way I can unrip it and cut the elastic a little bit shorter if it's really too wide. But I thought I prefer too wide. I don't know how to say it. Rather too wide than too tight. I think that's what I want to say. So yeah, it is lovely. I want to make more, but yeah, let's see how she likes it or not, and how the fit is. And I also want to make skirts for myself more. Now I don't need any, but I felt the need. So yeah, oh, I have another heart jumping handmade gift for my little niece. Not made by me, but very special story. It's downstairs, I guess. No, it is. Let me grab it because you will love it. Here it is, another handmade gift, not by me. I did put a little piece of tape over the name because of the privacy, but this is made by the 10-year-old daughter of one of my knitting friends. She loves crocheting and she made the most adorable things and she sells it. So I love to support creative companies, creative people who are knitting designers, yarn shop owners or whatever. I always try to buy at all the places so I can support them for sharing their lovely ideas and products. So of course I also wanted to support this little tiny company, and I asked if I could buy two. Let me show you what's in it. I love this little bag she made. It says handmade by, and here's her name, and then thanks for your order in Dutch. It came with the mail. So in it there are 4 tiny things. It is for the Barbie. Oh. Mermaid outfits. Mermaid tails for the Barbies. They're long plastic legs. Fit in the tail, and there is also a little bikini top for over the breasts. Oh, it doesn't show up. It's a set, but you can mix and match. Oh, I drop everything all the time. I need more hands. It would be lovely when we have 4 hands, also for knitting. So yeah, I think this is absolutely adorable, and I'm really impressed by the skills, the crochet skills of this little girl. And yeah, it is so cool. It was actually my plan to also buy a Barbie, but I checked with my sister and my niece. She already has a few, so I thought let's keep it with the outfit. And I think yeah, she loves mermaids as well, so yeah, it is adorable. I really love it. So I will link down below. Yeah, I don't think they ship to other countries, but yeah. My knitting friend's also making a podcast, also in English, so maybe she told about it in her English episodes, I don't know, but it's always a heart jumping thing when you are a crocheter or knitter and your kid is also creative. In any way, it is nice when your kids are creative, but when they are actually specifically, I mean, crocheting or knitting, it's extra hard jumping. So my daughter is also a crocheter, so I really am pretty sure her mom will be so proud. And yeah, I love it. So 3 lovely handmade items. I think it's a hard jumping thing when you can make your own presents. We celebrated her birthday yesterday, so we gifted the presents to her, and she was very happy with it. It's always quite overwhelming when there are a lot of people at your birthday party giving you all the presents, but my sister texted me yesterday evening. She was sleeping in her bed with her dinosaur and all the other stuff she received. So I am very sure she's happy with it, but also it was a heart jumping thing for me to put my love for that little girl in those items. I think that's, yeah, it is extra special when you can make someone a birthday present, and I don't do that for everyone because of all the time, but this little girl is very special to me, so it was lovely for me to do as well. And it was also very heart jumping to see my own kids' reactions. My youngest girl, she asked me, if I will ever get a baby, will you make my baby a dinosaur as well? So I thought, Okay. And my oldest daughter, she's a little bit less patient. She said, I want such a dinosaur as well. Do you want to make one for my birthday? And I told her, I'm already knitting your socks. And she said, no, I prefer a dinosaur. And I don't know if I will ever make this dinosaur again. Because, yeah, I love doing it, but it was also, I am not a stuffy maker. So I'm not quite sure, but maybe, maybe not. For myself, I thought I can make an African flower pillowcase, but I think I already mentioned that. Yeah. Okay, my Dutch episode this week was a special one because I was invited to take a look behind the scenes of a Dutch new webshop. It is the webshop Alchemy Knits, and the webshop owner is Chiara. She is a knitter, not living far from where I live. And she designed, together with her husband, the most wonderful sock blockers, which they make on a 3-dimensional printer at home. And I already owned her sock blockers. She gifted them to me, I think, a small 2 years back. And then it was very successful, and then she closed the shop because it was too busy, and now she restarted. And she invited me to take a look how the process of the making of the sock blockers is going. And she and her husband, they were telling me all the details. And also she is collaborating with a German sock yarn dyer, who is specialized in self-striping sock yarn, hand-dyed self-striping sock yarn. Her name is Nicole C, Méndez, and she is based in Germany. She has a German web shop, and they are collaborating. So Chiara from Alchemy Knits, the Dutch knitter, is organizing a knit-along, a sock knit-along with the self-striping yarn dyed by Nicole from Nicole C, Méndez. And I was invited to talk about it and to take a look, and they both were very generous and gifted me some stuff, and I want to show it in this episode as well because yeah, they sent to a lot of countries. I think the United States is a little bit of a challenge these days, but if you have questions about your specific country, please ask Alchemy Knits or Nicole C. Méndez. They can tell you all about it. I will link them down below, but I want to show what they make because I love showing what other makers are creating for knitters or crocheters to enjoy, and I really want to support that. The sock blockers, they are printed, as I said, by the 3-dimensional printer, and I already had this one in my size, gifted, and quite recently I received an extra pair in my husband's size, one size bigger. She has the sock blockers in all the sizes and all the colors. So you can pick your own color and your own size, and then they will print it in the 3-dimensional printer, and then you have your own sock blockers. They are very lightweighted. They come in pieces. Oh, I need to do this one. They come in pieces, so you can store them quite easily, and there are little... how do you call it? I call it a hanger. Little things you can hang them. I always have them there, and they are perfect for blocking your socks. And sock blocking is not necessary for wearing your socks, but for me it's a HeartJumping thing to do. I think a hand knitted sock looks a little bit sad when it's just off the needles, and it's not important really for wearing. When you put your own food in it, it will be okay, but when you want to take a picture of the sock, or you want to give it away, it can be very nice to block it. And they worked really hard to develop, do you say it like that? The perfect size sock blockers. And because it's open on the inside, they dry very quick, and that's also very nice when you are not the owner of a lot of patience. Oh, I also have the brown small ones I bought for my niece 2 years ago, and her feet, they did grow a little bit, but I can still block her socks on those. And I actually want to collect. There are also pinks and purples and green and blues, every color. They have a lot of color choices. So please take a look. I have a discount code for you in a minute. I also have those tiny baby ones. I almost forgot. Look, when you make a little gift for a baby when it's born, these are adorable. But there's also yarn. Self-striping, hand-dyed sock yarn. I was allowed to pick one skein in the webshop of Nicole C. Méndez. I forgot to see every time. I think I managed pretty well in this episode. But Nicole C. Méndez. And she has all the most beautiful color combinations, and I am very impressed about the stripes, how they are dyed. It's very intensive, specific yarn dyeing. I think yarn dyeing is a piece of art, and this specialization of dyeing self-striping sock yarn, it's very time consuming and very detailed work, and all the color combinations, it's so much love. So so much fun. So I picked this colorway, which is called Coffee Break. With the browns, of course, but there are many color combinations in very bright colors, and I have a special one because Chiara, the Dutch knitter, has a collaboration with Alchemy knits, and this yarn is dyed specially for the webshop of Alchemy Knits by Nicole C. Méndez. And this colorway, this one was gifted to me, and this one I bought, and yeah, I had strong associations with this colorway, older crochet projects, and there were several which came up. A skirt for my girl, the blanket my mother's grandmother. How do you call it? There's a name for it. Grandmother? Do you call it like that? My grandmother crocheted, which was actually my motivation to learn crocheting granny squares. It was all with the brown and the purple and the pink and the orange. So I really love this one. And I showed it to my daughter and I asked her, do you know what I made for you? And she couldn't remember, but she said, I love those colors. And can you knit me a pair of socks in it? And we have the same size, so I can wear them as well. So I'm very excited about that. This colorway is called Spellbook, and it's a limited edition. Chiara shows you in my Dutch episode how she picks the colors and how she's designing it on her iPad, and she already designed 2 new colorways. I have seen them, and I definitely want to buy at least one of them, maybe both, but at least one, because it was some personal preference color-wise for me. They will come end of April. So it's really a nice collab. They are quite expensive, hand-dyed, self-striping sock yarn. As I said, it's very time-consuming, very specialistic yarn dyeing, but it's also a special experience for me as a customer, as a knitter. Knitting stripes, it gives me a special feeling of excitement, stripy excitement, maybe that's how I can call it. Because when you are knitting a stripe, you always want to go to the next stripe, and a striped sock, I'm pretty sure I will knit it way more faster than another sock yarn. And the experience of knitting stripes, I do not really love wearing striped items. I do have a few because I love knitting it, but yeah, I absolutely want to collect all the self-striping sock yarn as well right now, and I can't wait to cast them on. What did I want to say more about it? There was something else. Self-strip. Oh yeah, the experience, buying yourself an experience as a knitter with a little bit more pricey yarn. I compared it with going to the cinema or to the theater or a sporting game or going to a restaurant. You always pay for the experience, and with this yarn you also also pay for the experience, the stripy experience. It's not only the socks you are knitting and the knitting experience, but it's also the stripy experience. And that makes it much, very worth for me, whatever. That it's a little bit more pricey than the commercial sock yarns or the regular hand-dyed sock yarns. And I really feel the need to cast this on, so I will do that. I have both my 2mm needles empty, I guess, so I don't have to choose. I can cast them on both. These will be for my husband, these for one of my girls, and I think there will be more, definitely. Yeah, but Chiara from Alchemy Knits and Nicole from Nicole C, Méndez, they have a little present for the viewers of my podcast on episode. You can you'll receive a 10% discount with the code itisasarah10 from now on until April 15, 2026, so 2 weeks after releasing this podcast. In the webshop of Chiara, you get the discount. Oh, I forgot to show something very cute. You get the discount on everything except the sock yarn. She also makes these beautiful sets of stitch markers, and this is the same color combination as the stripes, so they are matching. So the discount is for the sock blockers and the stitch markers and everything else in her web shop except this one. This is a limited edition, so she only has a few. And the web shop of Nicole C, Méndez, the 10% discount is on everything. And that's very special because she also has all the kits and the mystery sets, and normally she doesn't do a discount on those, but with this code there is a discount on everything. So, and shipping, the Nicole Méndez webshop shipping was very generous actually. It surprised me because I thought it would be quite expensive as well to ship to other countries, but it is not at all. So if you are a sock knitter and you also feel the stripy excitement, it might be interesting for you as well. So please go shopping if you feel the same heart jumping feelings as I am feeling right now. I think I might shop a little bit more. Oh, I'm a weak person. It was my plan to calm down a little bit with buying all the yarn. But I also love to support all the creative people who are making those beautiful stuff. Okay, this was it for today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. I will enjoy my stripy knits, stripy socks and everything I am knitting this week. I have quite some knitting time, I think. So I hope I can make some progress, maybe finish some new projects. I'm really looking forward to that. I am still feeling the finishing mood. It is spring now, but I am not feeling any spring vibes yet, knitting wise. I don't feel the need for casting on new things at the moment. I really want to enjoy the things which are on my needles. That's what we will do. I am pretty close to finishing my bits and bobs blanket. I am sure I will manage that this week. We shall see what will happen more. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. I wish you a wonderful week filled with a lot of heart jumping moments. If you can't find them, create them. Maybe with some self-striping sock yarn or whatever your taste is. Yeah, because we need them. We need them. Bye bye.